Well, the latest revenue forecast was released last week, and it says Oregon could bring in more revenue in the next biennium. However, another report by the state finds that housing prices are far outpacing wage growth, and just 29% of Oregonians can afford to buy a home. So what will 2025 look like when it comes to the Oregon economy and affordability for regular folks? Dr. Mike Wilkerson studies such questions. He's a partner and senior economist at ECOnorthwest. That's an economic research and consulting firm focused on the Northwest economy. Dr. Wilkerson has a PhD in economics and politics from Claremont University in California, and he's also an adjunct professor at Portland State University. Dr. Wilkerson, welcome to Eye on Northwest Politics.
Thanks for having me.
Well, let's take a look at the numbers for the December revenue forecast. This is from the Oregon Department of Administrative Services. It shows that general fund available resources are projected at $37.8 billion. That's an increase of $2.27 billion from the last biennium, with revenue up $1.3 billion since September's forecast. And Oregonians can expect a good-sized kicker credit in 2025, totaling about $1.8 billion. That would seem to indicate that Oregon's economy is strong. Dr. Wilkerson, is it?
It's a great question. I think forecasting is challenging. I'm thankful that's not a large part of my job. That's particularly challenging in Oregon for a couple of reasons. One, we forecast on a 2-year cycle, and so if you're forecasting out a quarter or two, I think you can kind of adapt to some changing macroeconomic conditions. Once you start to deviate from that, you have a long tail of 2 years. And I think further, if the kicker is that 2% window is extraordinarily challenging. And so when we look at this forecast, I don't know that this is necessarily changing macroeconomic conditions or microeconomic conditions within the state. I think it's more of an adaptation to the model that's suggesting that we have deviated from national conditions, and this is bringing us more in line to national conditions. So yes, I mean, certainly I think you'd rather have the models indicating the economy is doing well than otherwise, but I don't know that this is a change in underlying fundamentals that's driving that.
Well, let's talk about that. What parts of the economy are thriving and which are in trouble in Oregon?
Yeah, great question. So I mean, I think at the outset, the reason that Oregon typically outperforms the U.S. is because we have been a strong attractor of migrants into the state from other parts of the country and internationally. And so as our population grows more rapidly than the U.S., that typically also is associated with job growth. When we look back at the last couple of years, however, that has been not the case. The state economy has underperformed relative to the U.S., and a lot of that is driven by what's going on here in the metro region, which is to say we haven't been adding jobs at all in the last 2 years in the metro region, and a lot of that is fueled by the fact that our population has also decreased during that period of time.
Governor Kotek said the revenue forecast is a cause for optimism, but she's warning about possible changes at the federal level that could affect our local economy. Let's start with possible tariffs. Could that have an impact here in Oregon?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think, for us as a natural resource state, where we produce things, but we also produce inputs, require inputs that costs are going up. I think what tariffs are going to do is likely be passed on to consumers. And what that will do is create a macro market response where the Federal Reserve has been in a period of time where we're cutting rates. What that rate cut typically does is benefits consumers. And so what we're potentially heading into is a period of time where costs will be going up faster than they have been. And the relief that we have been starting to see glimmers of through lower rates on interest for mortgages and things of that nature are going to stall out and maybe even go back in the other direction.
The other concern, possible mass deportations that could have an effect on our agricultural sector. Oregon is a big agricultural state. How concerned should we be about that in Oregon, about mass deportations if they indeed do happen?
Yeah, I think that's going to be an impact to every single state. And certainly with the mix of industries that we have here, we might be hit harder than the average state. What concerns me beyond just mass deportations is just what impact that will send as a signal to just immigration in general. As a region and as a state, we are an attractor of people from outside of this country while we lose residents to the rest of the country. And so absent strong international migration, our population growth will be even more negatively impacted.
Much has been made of the struggles of downtown Portland. We've got an office vacancy rate of 33.8% in the central city. This is according to Colliers. Lots of closed storefronts, concerns about public safety. Mayor Wheeler is essentially begging people to come downtown to shop this holiday season. Can downtown Portland come back, and what do we do with all that empty office space?
It's a big question, and I know this is a short show, so let me maybe try to hit on a couple of things. One, so on the good news front, when we look at the two hardest hit sectors or sections of our central city, downtown and Old Town, we track foot traffic there monthly. And in the last year through October, we've seen the most foot traffic of any period since pre-pandemic. And so we are continuing to recover in those areas. We are still down, say, 30% in foot traffic from before. And I think the challenge is a lot has been made of office vacancy, and that is, in fact, a big problem. And we can maybe talk about what that means overall. But when foot traffic decreases, the retail also is hit hard. And so it's not only the fact that our office sector is down, it's with less foot traffic in general, the amount of retail that we had pre-pandemic is really struggling to meet that demand. So
what do we do about that? Is there a way for downtown, especially the central city, to come back? Can any of that space be repurposed? Can retail be made more attractive? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think I worry a little bit that we are on the precipice or likely in what economists refer to as an urban doom loop. What that means is we see demand decrease from some exogenous event. So that was the pandemic, hybrid and remote work, decreased demand, we have 30% vacancy. What that means is the value of those buildings decreases. And as the value of those buildings decrease, the revenue that local government has also is decreased. And so at a time when the need for service level provision is highest, the revenues to support that are down. And so when we look at the city, for example, looking at a 5 to 8% budget cut at a time when we need increased levels of service provision, that's what has me a little bit concerned about the near-term forecast.
Well, I'd like to end this interview with optimism, but it sounds like statewide we have some things that we can look forward to, but we have some issues downtown.
That's right.
So thank you very much, Dr. Wilkerson, for being on Eye on Northwest Politics.
My pleasure.